Hey everyone, welcome back to the Passive Buddies podcast. And as usual, today I've got my co-host Brandon Duff here, and we're going to be talking about how to create successful habits. Now, Brandon, this is obviously, I think, one of your strong points. Obviously, you've got your journal, you're quite organized, you leveraged the crap out of a hell of a lot of things to keep you successful, and obviously with those successful habits, plus you managed to get up at 4 a.m. to record a podcast. What are your sort of key little tips?
Yeah, so I've been a personal trainer, or I was a personal trainer for many years, and so I always thought, and I think we've talked about this before, about being able to have that mind-body connection. And for me, being able to work out allows me to kind of keep my head clear. Plus, I get like good ideas from working out because of those adrenaline and just serotonin and all those hormones that are releasing. I don't know why I'm not thinking of the correct one right now, but it's just important to, I think, have a routine, and being able to wake up at 4 is something I've always done from fitness. And so this was an easy transition. And so I've just been able to have a routine to help me create successful habits. And once you kind of start doing the same things over and over, it becomes subconscious, and you really don't need to put a lot of thought into doing these successful habits. So before we get into kind of some of my things, what about you? I know you are consistently here doing podcasts, doing YouTube. What are some of your habits that you do?
Do you know what? It took me ages, because obviously, it took me ages to find something that worked for me, and I think this was a big thing for me, because it was like, you've seen, obviously you're a 4 a.m. club, but like you see like the 5 a.m. club and the bashing you get if you're not really in it. And I used to beat me up a little bit, and I used to struggle. Oh, I can't get up at 5. I can't get up at 5. The kids had me up like not last night, the night before, but literally every hour between midnight and 7 a.m. I was like, and they want me to get up at 5, and like, yay, this is what we do. I was like, so I had to find something that worked for me, and that was hard, especially because like the rest of the perfect little social media world were all like up at 5 drinking the shake and yay. And I was just like so what I actually learned was, obviously it has to work for you. Like you can't be going against your own grain. Don't get me wrong, you can put yourself out there, be uncomfortable and develop new habits, but it has to be something that you can actually live by. And this is where like my schedule became very, very tight. And it became tight because I made it tight, but I live off my Google Calendar. And I mean, like, there's a running joke in our family at the moment where it's like, if you want Bryan, you have to put it in his Google Calendar. And that was sort of like something I've sort of just had to get in. Like, I always remember that when I first started this journey, I was like listening like to the missus, who was just a girlfriend, mother of a child at the time. I was like, you're going to have to start booking time with me. And she's like, I'll never book time with you. You will have to start booking time with me eventually. And now she does. She's block booked it, fair play to her, but it's like every Wednesday, every Saturday night, like block book, like it's in the calendar. Nobody can book a call. Nobody can touch me. And it's just being that sort of discipline. So using tools that I found like to help keep me that disciplined, which was I live on Google Calendar to keep myself accountable. Because if it's there in writing, it's got to be done. Right. And obviously you can see it right in your face, like right now, YouTube day and podcast day and all those type of things. Just, yeah, this is my shortest piece of advice ever. Google Calendar.
I think that's great though, because I mean, a lot of people don't even make time for, I mean, you think about it, a lot of entrepreneurs, what they do is they work because they want to have that freedom so that they can spend more time with their loved ones. But then they end up not really scheduling time like now to make time for their loved ones. And if you don't do it now and make those habits, then you're never going to do it. And I think that's really important that you guys do that. And you, every Saturday at night, you guys have that time to make time for each other. A lot of entrepreneurs I see online, they're grinding 7 days a week and not making any kind of time. And I think that's kind of the wrong way of doing things. we do the same thing. We do kind of Friday night to Sunday morning. Typically, the mornings I'll do a little bit of catch up, but for the most part, I try not to work on Saturdays and Sundays because then you are making that time. I also use a intention journal, which helps me kind of like your Google Calendar. It has me write down everything I'm doing for the week and kind of my goals, my habits. So, and we'll be going over our organic marketing strategy in a upcoming podcast. But right now, for instance, I have my goals for this week is 20 people in our circle, set up ads for people who didn't sign up, and then a roadmap for our inner circle. And so with those three things for that week, I broke them down into smaller goals and habits. So contacting people, doing videos for 2 to 4 videos for YouTube this week instead of 5, one every single day. So cutting that down. So they're goals that are achievable, but they also align with my bigger goals for that week. So, and then those smaller goals are kind of like micro goals of the bigger goal. And like I said, we'll go over the organic marketing strategy that I'll be using in a later podcast. So definitely subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a beat on that. But yeah, I think we do something similar, except I write it down and use a Google Calendar. And I think that is super important because we don't realize how much time is wasted within the day when we don't actually kind of just let the day happen instead of actually kind of taking charge and making sure that you accomplish your most important things throughout the day.
And I think it's like keeping that discipline is obviously it's a work in progress. Like I was on a call with a student last night, and he was saying like how at this moment in time, like obviously he's still working, so he's still got a job and he's still studying. And he was like, Bryan, he was like, it just took over my weekend. I was like, and he was like, people want this and people want that. And I went, listen, I was like, as you grow and develop, you will find more and more people want to take your time away from you. And that's because you're noticing how much more valuable your time is now because you're trying to put it to work. I was like, and as horrible as it sounds, is that you have to be selfish. You have to be like, right, okay, well, and the way I put it to him, I was like, that person who's just asked for an hour of your time, your friend, like to go out and do whatever that you don't really want to do, but you don't want to like say no and be mean. I was like, is that guy going to then spend an hour with you to help create content? And he just laughed. He was like, well, no, he isn't. Then why are you giving you his time for something you don't want to do that's not going to benefit you? I was like, just because you don't want to say no. I was like, you have to be selfish. You have to be determined. You have to remember why you're doing this. Because like, it's all well and good having a Google Calendar and putting everything in there going, yeah, I'm going to be doing this, and this. You wake up in the morning, you look at your calendar, you go, fuck that, and go back to bed. Like, you have to remember like the reasons behind setting up all these habits and reasons behind setting up these successful habits is because you want to be somewhere where you're not right now. So you have to get in the mindset of that person, that 10K version of yourself, that 20K version of yourself, and go, right, okay, well, would he lie in bed and go, oh, well, it is what it is? Or, oh, let's go on the drink for the next 2-3 days. Like, he's not going to, is he? So if he's not behaving like that, why the hell are you?
Right. Yeah, I think that's a huge thing because if you aren't putting in the work or putting in the time and effort that like you said, $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 a month person is doing, then you're never going to achieve that. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that if you take these little steps, they start compounding into really just massive growth. And if you can hit that first mark of $100 a day to $1,000 a day, it's just going to compound every single day. The more work you put in, and it might seem like you are doing a lot, but as time goes on, that hitting that first $100,000 a year is probably going to be the hardest because at that point, you're able to use leverage. And we've talked about it in other episodes where you can take money and make more money and be able to use leverage of other people's time. So even though you're putting in the time now, later on, you'll be buying back your time so that you can even go further and create even more successful habits where you now start buying back your time. And you can really compound those successful habits because you're not having to put in the time for content. You're not going to have to, because the content's already built. Now you're having people cut down your previous content to repurpose for other things. So, and we'll go over that in other podcasts, and we have gone over some of those strategies in our how to create an online course. So definitely check that out. But what would you say are your top 3 habits are that have made you successful?
So obviously, one is like, it's that mentality, like no one works harder than me. Like, and I even got a message from a friend the other day, back when we used to work together. Like, he's now doing other things, and he was like, I was messaging someone, and it was like, it took them ages to reply. He was like, I forgot how you never ever sort of switch off. He was like, you're just always there when people need you. And I was like, well, that's because obviously I'm trying to build something, where all these people weren't. I was like, so like having that, right, I need to work hard, and no one's going to work harder than me, is really, really important, especially in that situation where you are trying to get up to that like $100,000. You have to be like, you have to want to work. Because as you say, when you look at the passive income scale, it's like you have to put your active time in order to get your passive section at the
Right.
end. So if you're not prepared to do that bit up front, like success is a debt paid up front. So if you're not prepared to put that debt paid like down, you're never going to get anywhere. So one of those things is like, you've got to be able to work hard, and just making sure you allow time for that. And then on the flip side, you've got to put your non-negotiables in for your life. So
That's huge.
I don't work obviously before 9 a.m. because I've got the kids. I don't work after 2:30 or up until 8 p.m. because I've got the kids. And then I don't work Wednesday and Saturday because I've got the missus.
Yep.
So it's like, they're those non-negotiables. Like, you've got to be able to like build a business around your lifestyle and not a lifestyle around your business. And by doing that, you don't hate everything that you do. Whereas if your business is taking you away from those family times, from those school plays, from dinners with the missus, like, you're just going to end up resenting your business, which means it's going to collapse. So having that structure and that non-negotiable time, like, no, this is my time, this is business time, and having that separation. Don't get me wrong, actually, it's usually the family who want a little bit more time than obviously the business at this moment in time, which is nice. Like, I've got to go once we finish there, I've got to go take my little lad to some little play date, which has now been rearranged. So I'm like, right, okay, well, that was in business time, but the kids need me, so that's where it is. So building that business around your lifestyle rather than the other way, putting in those non-negotiables, and then making sure you're prepared to work. And that is probably one of the reasons why 99% of the world aren't successful. It's because 99% of the people aren't prepared to put in the work.
Well, and they typically do the opposite. And I think that was a huge thing right there, where you said create a business around your lifestyle, because I think that's huge. And I think a lot of people don't do that, is they create something that they think is going to make them a lot of money, but they hate it. And then they get burnt out, and then they can't put in the work, and then they don't have any non-negotiables. So I think that those 3 were huge for creating successful habits and be able to take your business to that next level.
What about you? What do you do? What's your top 3?
Oh man, I think that what you said is huge. I think putting it in the work is obviously it's needed. You need to have that. I think being consistent with putting in the work. I mean, if you are consistently putting in work every single day versus, some days I'm too tired, but I put in a little bit of work this today. That's, enough. I think that a lot of people underestimate how much work, or they just do what everyone else is doing, and it's just limping over the bar. And that's why 90% of people fail in business. With, I think you said, in the first 5 years. It might be even higher than that. So being able to, and then obviously if you're doing above and beyond, and we'll go over the organic strategy in a later podcast, but I'm probably going to be doing 5 to 10 times more than a lot of people are doing. And that's going to get me just exponential growth than the person who's doing, a fifth of what I'm doing. So I think that's super important. And then I think I listened to this on a podcast, or maybe it was YouTube, but well, besides, before going into that, I think just showing up every single day is like we said, being consistent is important. But as far as listening to a podcast, Michael Jordan would play a basketball game like it was the first time someone has ever seen him play, and so he didn't want to let them down by not bringing his A game, because he only had one chance to show that he was the greatest player to that particular person. So if you go all out, like it's your best game you've ever played every single day, that's going to show up, and other people are going to see that. And they might only see you once, but at least you showed them that you're being consistent, you're playing your best game, and you're coming to actually like put in the work. So I think that it's huge. On the three things you said pretty much cover, I think, what most people should be doing: just showing up, being consistent, putting in the work, creating non-negotiables, and just making a business that fits your lifestyle versus the other way around.
Absolutely love it. Okay, guys. Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Brandon, anything else?
I think that was pretty solid.
Love it, guys. If you stayed here till the end of the episode, guys, greatly appreciate it. Show us some love, and I will see you on the next episode.